I'm gonna surprise a lot of people here. Voyage of the Damned is my favourite Christmas special of all time, and probably one of my favourite episodes of Doctor Who of all time. This is gonna be less of like a, here's the good, here's the bad, and honestly, here's why I love Voyage of the Damned, with a couple of nitpicks. First of all, Voyage of the Damned does a Christmas special in the perfect formula. Because what it does is it manages to feel just as festive as, for example, the previous 2 episodes of Christmas. But where those episodes go for the more gimmicky style of Christmas in terms of the rotating Christmas tree and the robot Santas, this one just has more of an essence of Christmas. Or just exploring elements of the joy of Christmas, and the friendship and the family elements of Christmas, and just the Titanic being this wonderful Christmassy setting. I think that is the perfect way to do a Christmas special. I'm also not saying here I don't enjoy the gimmicky stuff, like I quite enjoy the rotating Christmas tree, but this is a different way to do it, and my personal favourite. Next up, and I think this is my big point as to why it works, weirdly, it's the runtime. Because coming in at nearly, 80 minutes, this is one of, the longest, single episodes of the show. And it really just gives it so much. With a 2-parter, for example, that would usually run at around, 85 minutes? Maybe getting close to 90? Whereas this episode, having, a longer runtime, probably about half an hour longer than a usual episode, but less than a 2-parter, gets that balance of both, where it's a story that needs more exploration, but you trim off some of the fat that you sometimes get with a Doctor Who 2-parter. But I think the magic of this episode is how it uses its runtime. Because this story is kind of split up into, 2 ways, and both of them work really well. You've got the action side of it, the goal, what the Doctor's trying to stop, and all of that adventure and madness that comes with that. Yet this episode also dedicates so much time to, our characters, and, developing them, and giving them interesting backstories, and making you care. The first 15 minutes doesn't really do much on a story level, but it allows for a really slow build where we get lots of fantastic character moments. And it's not like that feels gimmicky, because then even when the action starts, we're still getting these wonderful character moments with Mr. Copper. And the couple, who I've forgotten their name. Subscribe, you'll love the research we do on this channel. And I think that balance with the runtime just works so well, where we're always invested in the adventure, and we become really invested in our side characters. So then as well, when there are moments when some of them unfortunately die, we find ourselves really invested in their journeys. Even to this day, when I've seen, these episodes, probably 20 times now, I still find myself getting a bit upset when each of our side characters slowly start dying. It's sad. But also it's not just sad because we get moments with them that make them feel sense and make them feel like whole characters. I honestly think this episode is so underrated for how it develops its side cast of characters, and that's what really pushes it over the edge. Hello, James in editing. I also don't think this episode gets enough credit for a couple of its iconic moments. Obviously you've got the whole big, I'm the Doctor speech, and that is just iconic every time. Then you also get this moment at the end, and this is what I was talking about, developing our sidecast, where the one person who gets to survive, apart from obviously Mr. Copper, is the one you'd probably least like to survive, but then you have this great conversation with David Tennant and Mr. Copper, and it really resonates, and I think it also really helps to feed in to a lot of the end of time stuff, so I think overall a lot of that stuff can go under the radar for some fans, and I'm not letting it. This is also just David Tennant in full swing as the 10th Doctor, and but here he's really just him up until the end here, through Series 4 and the specials, just perfect. I really, this is where David Tennant's Doctor goes from great to iconic. Overall, this review is just going to be shorter because I don't have that many nitpicks. People sometimes decide to complain about Kylie Minogue, and yeah, I get it. She's not great in here. The acting isn't, fantastic. But I have to admit, this is where I've grown up with it. I've just learnt to expect it. It's like growing up with Evolution of the Daleks and Daleks in Manhattan. I might have butchered those titles, but the American accents have never really annoyed me that much, just because as a child I grew up watching those episodes and just being oblivious to that. And I would say that's bad on me for bringing my personal biases into this, but it's my review. If you don't want my personal biases, don't watch my review. Yes, as well, Max Capricorn is a little bit silly, and that is an element that I can still recognise to this day, as if there was a way to make that character a little less silly, I probably would have gone in that direction, but again, I don't mind it. Because overall, this mix between the Doctor just being in full swing, a fantastic bit of action, and some really great characters we care about, like Mr. Copper throughout this, it's just a fantastic character, goes on such an arc, such a journey, and all of our characters, that's just a character I've decided to single out here, all of them are fantastic. And that's probably why this is my favourite Christmas special, and honestly, this is an episode I can just whack on in July and have a fantastic time with. It's just such fun, lovable Doctor Who. What do you think of Voyage of the Damned? Let me know in the comments below. And subscribe, please. I'd really like you to. Like, Purple Mike Wazowski is telling you to subscribe right now, so I really think you should. And if you want to see my entire playlist with all my Doctor Who Christmas special reviews, click the video here. Because it's class.